this was a drop from the from 41.7% in the previous year, which is 2.19 percentage points. Hydro contributed 24. I think someone is moving my slides. Okay, so, well, they are trying to. Sorry about that. So geothermal source accounted for 39.51%, which provides base load. And this was a drop by 2.19 percentage points from the 41.7% in the previous year. Hydro contributed 24.21%, a slight increase, which is attributed to improved hydrology. Wind contributed 13.18%. Imports accounted for 10.60%, up from 8.81%. And the imports comprised of those that were delivered from Ethiopia, 83.09%, Uganda, 14.71%, and Tanzania, 2.2%. Interconnected thermal accounted for 8.62%. So when we look at this is basically the same story in terms of the energy mix, only that it's updated to August 2025. And I like this chart because it paints the picture that our grid continues to be green at 89.63%. And thermal is still there, but there was increased thermal because of local demand and to provide system support during peak hours. So this is a story. Washing our babies, so that's when we have our peak load, and we witnessed an increase by 6.38% and recorded 2,316 megawatts peak on 12th of February 2025. We have since recorded a new peak on 21st August 2025, which was 2,392.06 megawatts. So we've seen a progression over the last 5 years, which is attributed to increased connectivity and, of course, economic activities. When we look at the electricity access, in this financial year, the new customers connected were total 3,900. Customers who have been connected are 44,313, bringing the total cumulative customers connected to the grid at 10,090,088. So for the reliability indices, KAIDI, SAIDI, and SAIFI, I see Commissioner smiling. They are defined in the main report. They are basically matrices used to measure how reliable our power system is from a customer perspective, and there's a regulatory benchmark, an international one, which as EPRA we aspire to get to as even as we check the reliability of our system. So now we move to electricity tariffs. In exercise of energy pricing mandate, the authority undertakes the functions to set, review, and adjust electric power tariffs and tariff structures, approve power purchase agreements and network service contracts, setting, reviewing, and approving contracts, tariffs, and charges for common user upstream petroleum facilities, setting, reviewing, and approving contracts, tariffs, and charges for common user petroleum logistics facilities and petroleum products. So when we look at the approved electricity retail tariff for the financial year, we see very marginal change based on the approved tariff review period tariffs, save for electric mobility, which was fairly stable. It remained the same at 16. And the commercial industrial 220 kV at 10, and special economic zones at 10 as well. So what we looked at in the previous slide was the base tariffs, and from the base tariffs, then the authority also has the mandate to approve monthly pass-through costs, and these costs account for variations in the fuel energy charge, forex adjustments, inflation adjustments, and the Warma levy, which is a contribution that goes to the Water Resource Authority. From this slide, we see a spike in around July, and also, it was around July and about December, January, thereabouts. And this is due to the forex adjustments. Our utilities, KP and KenGen, paid up some forex loans. So this slide then looks at the trend in the overall retail tariff, and we see relatively stable across all customer categories. Next. And this is the same for commercial and industrial customers. When we are talking about the time of this tariff, this was introduced in 2017 to encourage electric consumption by commercial and industrial customers, and in 2023 the authority also brought in small commercial customer categories who consume more than 100 kilowatt hours per month, and e-mobility tariff customers. So the TOU provides a 50% discount on the energy charge rate during the off-peak hours, and these are on weekdays from 2200 hours. So after peak demand, then we set in the TOU from 2200 hours to 6 in the morning. On Saturdays from midnight to 8 in the morning, then 2 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. and all day Sunday and public holidays. To note is the 1.438 billion shillings saved by customers who used this time of this tariff. On this slide, we see the market share, and KenGen continues to dominate at 58.97%. However, their dominance, yes, overall they are dominating, but they have gradually declined in the overall share over the past 5 years, and this can be attributed to an increase in imports. Because in the same period over the last 5 years, imports have increased from 1.03% to 10.66%. We'll now go into the petroleum sector, where we have upstream that looks at exploration and appraisal, development and production, midstream, transportation, shipping, pipeline, LNG terminals, and downstream refining, distribution and marketing. So in the upstream subsector, we have seen some new developments with the reconfiguration of the exploration blocks, though we maintained the 4 basins. And the reconfiguration has brought about a reduction in the number of blocks from 63 to 50, ensuring optimum block sizes for effective exploration and aligning to best practice to make Kenya's upstream sector more attractive to investors. In the midstream and downstream section, we do have the import infrastructure, where our imports are primarily through the Kipevu Oil Terminal with 3 receiving terminals. That is Kipevu Oil Storage Facility, the VTTI, and KPRL, and also small vessels with a deadweight of 18,000 are received in Shimanzi Oil Terminal and connected to private terminals in Shimanzi. Worth noting is that in April 2025, rehabilitation of the Portreats tank in KPRL with a capacity of 100,000 cubic meters was completed, converting crude oil tanks to AGO storage tanks. So when we look at imports into the country, they totaled 9,756,761 m³ in the financial year that ended June 2025, and this was a 7.7% increase compared to the previous year, which can be attributed to an increase in demand locally and in the region. On domestic consumption, we also saw an increase by 6.94% compared to the previous year, and the consumption was 8,839,464 m³. Sorry, 5 million. So when we look at the Maban crude oil prices, we recorded a high in July 2024 at $89.14 per barrel, and a low in July 2025. In June 2025 at $67.73 dollars per barrel, and there's also in August we've updated this, and we have noted an upward trend, because in August we recorded a high of $69.81 per barrel. When we look at the trend in local pump prices, which is what most of the citizens know about EPRA, the authority computes retail local pump prices, which include landed costs, distribution costs, taxes, levies, demurrage, and margins accrued to the oil marketing companies. And the highest prices, we picked Nairobi pump prices. The highest prices were recorded between July and September 2024. And we've also seen an increase between July and September 2025. In terms of competition in the petroleum sector, the first 5 oil marketing companies have maintained their position. Although Vivo is still at the lead, their overall percent has decreased to 20.8 22% of the market share from 22.24% in the previous year. So when we look at the LPG statistics, I'm sure most of us are very familiar with this schematic. So I'll just draw your attention to our receiving facilities. We have AGOL at 25,000 metric tons, Lake Gas 10,000 metric tons, and Chimanzi Oil Terminal 2,335 metric tons. For the LPG consumption, we saw an increase in per capita consumption to 7.9, sorry. And the total at 414,861. So this is my last slide. And when we have more details in the report. So in our future outlook, we are looking at the growth of the LPG subsector, the national LPG growth strategy and how that is being implemented. We are also looking at strengthening of the petroleum subsector, the implementation of the cost of study, and the review of the Kenya pipeline tariff, which is ongoing, marketing open petroleum exploration blocks, as I had presented earlier when we looked at upstream. We're also looking at the evolution of the electricity subsector, review of electricity tariffs for tariff control period 2025-26 to 2028-29 will be starting next year. Then there's a review of the e-mobility tariff, approval of the electricity market bulk supply and open access regulations is what we foresee. Then we have leveraging renewable energy and international renewable energy certificates. These are the IREC certificates. In December 2024, EPRA was given approval to issue IREC certificates to producers who have renewable energy for every 1 megawatt. They can then use those certificates to in the carbon trading markets. Then there's expansion of geothermal and cross-border trade. So there's increased geothermal capacity to 1,000 megawatts and increased electricity imports, strengthening of transmission infrastructure, and battery energy storage systems, which we are doing a lot of research and work behind this. And with that, thank you very much for your attention. I hope I kept at least half the room awake, the numbers.
Thank you so much, Madam Joki. You must have seen some gentlemen walking out in haste. You're made to understand that the chief guest whom we were expecting, but in the meantime was being represented, is walking in the next few seconds. So welcome so much, Bwana CS. We were expecting you. Asante sana. Thank you very much. So yes, so Bwana CS, feel very much welcome, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, the Honorable Opiyo Wandayi. I'd reserved some introduction for you, Bwana CS, and because you're here, let me now officially recognize you in the energy and petroleum way or language. So this is how Bwana CS I had started in absentia. The man who keeps the nation's lights and the energies, or rather the lights on and the engines running, our esteemed Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, the Honorable Opiyo Wandayi. Now, into brackets, and this is something I wanted to say when you are here, the only thing brighter than his future is a solar panel in the noon sun, though it is not noon yet. So feel very much welcome. Feel very much welcome, Bwana CS. And you've just come in as we were finishing the key highlights of the report. But it is now my distinguished honor to invite Bwana DG. No, in another life. Yeah, in another life. So, Bwana DG, please welcome.
Thank you, Norman. Our Cabinet Secretary for Energy and Petroleum, Honorable James Opiyo Wandayi, our good PS for the State Department of Energy, Honorable Alex Kamau Washira, our Chair of our Board of Directors, Honorable Adan Ali Haji, my colleague, CEO of the Nuclear Authority in the Republic of Kenya, CS, my senior Justice Wabuyabo, the Commissioner for Petroleum, Commissioner Joseph Otieno, representing our PS for Petroleum, Dr. Mohamed Liban, my colleagues at the authority, distinguished colleagues from the fourth estate, and our licensees. I want to take this opportunity first to thank you very much and welcome you this morning as we present our Energy and Petroleum Statistics Report for the year ended June 2025. This is one of the most, if not the most important report that we produce as an authority. It provides a very clear picture on where we stand as a country in terms of our energy and petroleum sectors, the progress that we have made, and how these developments translate into the opportunities that consumers, investors, and the economy sees in our sector at large. I want to take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to highlight some of the insights from the report, and I want to also again thank the team working at the authority that has helped put together this report. To the members of the fourth estate, I wish to urge you to use the data that we've highlighted in the previous reports and in this current report to keep your auditors updated with the advancement in the sector, and we want to really encourage you. Going through this report has a lot of information that is very useful. A lot of your readers, your listeners, your viewers are always asking about a lot of this information. When you go through this report, a lot of the questions and the clarifications that you seek are provided from this report, and I want to urge you to be able to look at this report and be able to distill it and to be able to put it in a language that the common man will understand, and be able then couple of banks. It is important to also recognize the role that you played in contributing to the data, because it is the data that you provide to the authority that then we compile and collate into this report. And also, as has been said before me, is the information that allows us then to make data-driven decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to delve into the report, starting with the electricity subsector. We have seen an increased demand and growth in this sector. In February this year, ladies and gentlemen, we recorded a new peak of 2316.2 megawatts. This represents a 6.38% increase compared to the previous financial year, translating to a growth of 139 megawatts of peak demand. This is the highest increase recorded in the last 5 years, and it's attributed to increased connectivity to residential, institutional, and commercial and industrial customers. Looking ahead, this upward trend means that we must plan for sustainable access for all and amplifies the need to have investments in the sector. Part of these investments include an improving of regional interconnections with our neighbors. I am happy to note that we are now a regional power hub, which has been reinforced. Sorry. Sorry about that. which has been reinforced by the completion of the 400 kV transmission line to Ethiopia in December 2024. It is with this interconnection that Kenya is now linked to the grids of Ethiopia, Uganda, and Tanzania. This means that we are part of the larger East African power pool that allows us to export our surplus renewable energy and to import power when necessary. This ensures that we have reliability in our system, and for industrial consumers, it reduces the interconnection risk of supply shortfalls, which are usually met with increased generation activity from thermal power plants. In this report as well, we have noted that domestic consumers registered a 13.03% increase in electricity usage, and this is the largest increase in any consumer category. This category makes up of now 32.13% of a total consumption, up from 30.76% in the previous year. This can be attributed to a higher per capita consumption and an increase in the number of customers. Further, the authority in the period that we are reporting approved 9 PPAs, power purchase agreements, which contribute to increased power and power price stability as well. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the renewable energy subsector, 80.48% of our installed capacity, percentage of our installed capacity comes from our renewables as of June 2025. This consists of both interconnected renewable energy and captive renewable energy capacities. It is interesting to note that the growth is being experienced in captive contributes to less pressure on the national grid and more affordable energy pricing for owners. In particular, we note that the continued growth of captive solar power plants today stands at 300.5 megawatts. Another subsector that is registering an increasing trend is the petroleum subsector. The report, as we've seen, has demonstrated an improved imports, which grew by 7.7% as compared to the same period in the previous year. This was driven by a rising domestic demand and an increased transit volumes to neighboring countries, with 50.01% of total imports being consumed in Kenya. To improve the performance of the sector, we saw enhancement in transport infrastructure. The rehabilitation of the Portrees tanks in Changamwe, for example, were completed in April 2025. This was a project that converted existing crude oil tanks to AGO automotive gas oil, which will contribute to improved reliability for diesel supply and reduce risk of shortages that often affect transport, agriculture, and industry. On the LPG side, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen continued growth of consumption with an increase of 15% in the year 2024. This demonstrates a shift by Kenyan households and businesses towards cleaner cooking solutions, reducing reliance on biomass and improving indoor air quality for millions of families. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, the authority continues to play an active role in consumer protection by licensing players across the energy sectors, monitoring fuel quality and ensuring compliance in the LPG market. Beyond regulation, we are committed to empowering the public through education, advocacy, through what we are calling the Car Safe Mtaani campaign, standing out as a key initiative to promote safety in the petroleum and energy sectors. As we draw closer to Mashujaa Day, which will be Energy Matters, and encourage all of you to partner with us to keeping our sector safe, reliable, and sustainable for every Kenyan. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, the future of the energy sector has been marked with some innovations, which I'd also want to highlight. In the promotion of renewable energy, EPRA has been approved as the issuer of what we call International Renewable Energy Certificates, better known as IRECs, for electricity. This initiative will be able to open up new revenue streams for renewable energy producers to allow corporates to demonstrate their commitment to sustainability while boosting their credibility in the international and green carbon space. So basically, an IREC is an instrument that will allow you to demonstrate that you are able to generate green renewable energy. This certificate is tradable. You're able then to put it into the carbon market, get some revenues which could be able to plow back into investment into the country. I want to encourage those of you who want to learn more about IRECs to get in touch with us as you seek to develop your green energy capacity. I want to also acknowledge some of the early adopters of this IRECs as have been issued by EPRA, such as Alten Solar, Malindi Solar Farm, Zena Roses, Visions Plaza, Console Base, and Summit Fibers, who have already registered and already benefiting for trading the IRECs in the carbon markets. In terms of strengthening the national grid and to sustain a growth of demand, as I had mentioned in the electricity sector, we're also investing in critical transmission infrastructure as a country. Just to mention a few, we have the Mariakane substation, the Komza substation, the Nanyuki-Isiolo line, and the Sondu-Mbiwa line projects. These projects mean better quality of supply and stronger support for industries when it comes to reliability to ensure that we do have uninterrupted electricity. Ladies and gentlemen, looking at some of the statistics that we've seen today, I think I've been debunking some of the myths that has been widely reported over the last 1 year, and is really a testament of the resilience, Waziri PS, of the economy that is Kenya. We are seeing a 15% increase year on year on LPG consumption, which I'm sure Waziri will be speaking to in terms of the LPG growth strategy. We are seeing a 6.6 increase in electricity consumption. We are seeing an increase in petroleum demand and consumption. It's really a demonstration of the resilience and the progress and the ambition that we do have as a country, and particularly, as has been said, and which is one of the mantras of the ministry, which is to fuel the energy and petroleum sector, to fuel the nation, is really a good demonstration through this energy and petroleum statistics report that we are positioning ourselves as a country, as a regional and a global leader, not only in sustainable energy, but also in driving the economy. Waziri, I want just to commit on behalf of my colleagues in management that are able to commit and remain committed to our mandate of regulating, facilitating investment and protecting consumers whilst ensuring that Kenya's energy transition is inclusive, is affordable and sustainable. As I come to a close, I would just want to take this opportunity. I do have my colleague, CS, my senior in the profession, the legal profession, CS Wabuyabo. I wanted to invite him here to just say a big hi to you. And I know, recognizing that there's a lot of media in the room, you've been hearing about nuclear and nuclear and nuclear. I was telling him before this session that he's spending a lot of time engaging his stakeholders, and I don't want to pass the opportunity before I welcome the Commissioner for Petroleum and then our PS responsible for energy, to just say a big jumbo and maybe tell us one or two things about nuclear and the good progress that he's making at NUPEA with respect to making nuclear a reality for Kenya. Karibu Senior.
Waziri, Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, PS, Alex Washira, and colleagues, good morning. Clearly you can see I've been ambushed, but that is the beauty of being a senior, because you get recognized once in a while. I think I know we are short of time, but let me just talk a bit about nuclear. As many of you will know, the government has made the decision to construct the first nuclear power plant in Kenya, in Siaya. We are getting a lot of support from the ministry and the government, and a lot of work is going on in Siaya. The plan by the government is to start construction of the first nuclear power plant in 2027, with the nuclear power going to the grid in 2034. We are on schedule, and as DG has mentioned, as NUPEA, we are doing what we need to do to educate Kenyans about how this technology can be deployed safely, securely, and in a manner that is sustainable. So we want to urge all of you to appreciate that nuclear is the future. As you've seen, our neighbors, Ethiopia recently opened the Grand Renaissance Dam, and beyond that, they are also now saying they're going for nuclear, and they're thinking about 5,000 megawatts to start with. As a country, the strategy is that we want to start with the 1,000 megawatts and build up to 20,000 megawatts by 2040. And we have new technology in the name and style of small modular reactors. And what can happen is that with the aggregation parks that the counties are developing, we could have a small model reactor for each county to ensure that every county has enough electricity coming from nuclear, which is clean, safe, and secure. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Maybe just for the benefit of Waziri and the audience, as the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, we do not regulate nuclear. Nuclear is regulated through a protocol, and I think the International Energy Agency has been very clear. What was the old regulatory Radiation Protection Board is what regulates nuclear energy. It is today the Kenya Nuclear Regulatory Board. And the reason I'm saying this is very important is because there's a lot of myths, half-truths, whole lies around nuclear. We use nuclear every day. All of you go to a hospital, you can see I'm limping a bit. I sprained my knee. But when you go to the hospital, when you do an MRI, you do an ultrasound. All that is nuclear technology. So we live with nuclear every day. So that is the real reality. We don't regulate nuclear, and it's for those reasons, because there are other uses other than energy. And there is a safe use of nuclear. So I thought it was important that I allow my senior to speak to that, so that then we can start socializing our people as to the benefits of nuclear. As he said, Ethiopia has since gone nuclear. We have the likes of South Africa that went ahead of us. And ultimately, as you see, the statistics that Njoki has put up there, when it comes to nuclear and our demand growing, we will be able to exhaust our geothermal resource. We will then benefit from the wind and the solar that God has given us. But ultimately, as we grow as an economy, I think nuclear will be the only answer that will be able to give us the power that we require over the medium to the long term. And I think Senior will be engaging the Fourth Estate, I think, on this matter as we go along. Thank you very much for that opportunity. It is now my pleasure to welcome our chair, Honorable Adan Ali Haji, to be able to speak to us, and he will then thereafter invite the representative of the PS, State Department of Petroleum, to make his remarks. Asante. Karibu, Chair.
Thank you very much, DG. Honorable James Opiyo Wandayi, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, representative of the PS, State Department for Petroleum, Mr. Alex Washira, the Principal Secretary of the State Department for Energy, Mr. Daniel Kipto Bargoria, Director General, EPRA, Board Members, EPRA, industry representatives, and distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, I am honored to welcome you to this State of Energy and Petroleum briefing. This occasion provides us with an opportunity to present and reflect on key statistics on the performance of electricity, petroleum, and renewable energy subsector during the financial year 2024-2025. As we reflect on the report and the insights that have been shared here today, I remind you that these results reflect many factors, key being the existence of sound regulatory framework. As an authority, we have been honored over the years to have the support of the various stakeholders present today to lay down these tools for the betterment of our sector. Our work ensures that the industry operates efficiently, safely, and sustainably while protecting the interests of both consumers and industry players. Ladies and gentlemen, our work as an authority is anchored in the Strategic Plan 2024-2028. According to the plan, our commitment extends to increasing energy access, bridging energy poverty, and ensuring cost-reflective and reliable energy services for everyone in Kenya, aligning with the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda. During the review period, we have contributed to strengthening the sector through research and innovation. Other than this report, you may be aware of our annual Research and Innovation Conference, which brings together policymakers, industry players, academia, and innovators to integrate sector data and trends. By creating space for evidence-based dialogue, the conference ensures the regulatory actions and investments are guided by insights, research, and innovation, ultimately shaping policies and solutions that respond to the evolving needs of Kenya's energy petroleum sector. In the space of regulation, we have made significant milestones with advancement in both draft and gazetted regulations. In the past year alone, we have seen several regulations gazetted. This will significantly strengthen our energy and petroleum landscape. Under electricity and renewable energy, the net metering, energy management, and solar water heating regulations create a stronger framework for the adoption of renewable energy technologies, energy efficiency, and clean energy use, directly supporting Kenya's transition to sustainable energy. The Integrated National Energy Plan Regulation 2025 provide a structured basis for long-term planning, ensuring that future investment and policies are informed by a coherent national vision. On the petroleum and gas front, the suite of petroleum regulation introduced will bring greater order, transparency, and accountability across the petroleum value chain, from importation, licensing, logistics, and transportation to LPG retail sites, lubricants, and product quality. Collectively, these regulations safeguard consumers, enhance investor confidence, and ensure that the sector grows in a safe, sustainable, and well-coordinated manner. EPRA has also sanctioned 7 draft upstream and midstream petroleum regulations that have already undergone public participation. Once gazetted, these regulations will provide a transparent and predictable regulatory framework, promote environmental responsibility, and strengthen investor confidence, ensuring that the petroleum sector remains efficient, resilient, and attractive to both domestic and international investors. These are just some of the ways that EPRA has contributed to the development of the sector in the past year. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, EPRA remains steadfast in its mandate to regulate, oversee, and facilitate the development of the sector. Our priorities will continue to focus on ensuring efficiency, reliability, and sustainability, while fostering an environment that encourages investment, innovations, and responsible energy use. We will continue to set an example for the region and learn from the best practices globally to improve results. Thank you and have a great day. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Chairman, for those very good remarks. It is now my duty to welcome my friend, Commissioner Joseph Otieno, who's representing our PS for the State Department of Petroleum, who was not able to be with us today, to make his remarks. Karibu, Commissioner.
Thank you, DG. Waziri, allow me to convey the apologies of my PS, Mr. Mohamed Liban, who is engaged in another assignment. However, he sent me to deliver his remarks, which I'll do. The Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, our CS Energy and Petroleum, Mr. Alex Washira, PS Energy, State Department for Energy, Adan Haji, the chairperson of EPRA, my friend DG, Daniel Kipto Bagoria, the CEO Nupea, Mr. Justus Obuyabo, board members, leaders of the energy sector, industry stakeholders, members of the First Estate, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
It's always a pleasure to attend such events that bring together energy and petroleum stakeholders. Your involvement demonstrates a commitment to the government, by the government to being included in the decisions and milestones registered in the sectors that affect you. This morning, we are witnessing the release of the most current energy and petroleum statistics report, which contains insights of up to June 2025. A lot has been highlighted already, but allow me to comment on some of the milestones that the State Department for Petroleum is proud of during this reporting period. As highlighted in the data presented, Kenya plans to shift to clean cooking, which is bearing fruit. We have a plan to increase LPG consumption from 6.5 kg to 15 kg annually, and boost LPG penetration from 24% to 70% by the year 2028. I want to report here that this is well on course. As the report shows, the demand for LPG consumption grew significantly, rising from over 360,000 metric tons in 2023, which presents to over 400,000 metric tons in 2024. This presents a 15% growth. We recognize the potential that LPG has beyond cooking. This has led to the unveiling of the Kenya Auto Gas Policy. This policy has laid the foundation for tax incentives and infrastructure guidelines aimed at promoting the use of LPG in vehicles. In the past year, the energy regulator licensed the construction of 18 new auto gas stations to supplement the 16 auto gas dispensing stations in operation in Kenya. Kenya has over 15,000 vehicles upgraded to use a dual petrol and LPG combustion system, an innovation that we are keeping an eye on. Ladies and gentlemen, part of our ambition as government is to transform Kenya from an all petroleum products importer to a world-class exporter of petroleum products. Towards this, the government has steered significant restructuring with the petroleum blocks reconfigured in line with exploration potential and international best practice. The Constitution has created 50 highly prospective petroleum blocks, signaling fresh opportunities for investor and exploration. To support this, the government is accelerating the development of Block T6, which was formerly Block 13T, and Block T7, which was formerly 10BB, while EPRA has developed 7 draft regulations to guide upstream operations. These regulations have already undergone public participation and will provide clarity on land access, cost management, midstream pipeline and storage operations, local content, environmental safety standards and governance, thus ensuring that new investments are both sustainable and benefit Kenyans. Further, the successful discovery of potential commercial petroleum deposits in the South Lokicha Basin. Towards this, the government is actively promoting investment by offering incentives to boost exploration and encourage the construction of necessary infrastructure, such as the pipeline and storage facilities. All these advancements in the sector provide investment opportunities towards universal access to energy. The topic of universal access is important, and I therefore conclude by requesting you to work together and promote access to these solutions to Kenyans, not just in urban centers, but in rural areas as well. For LPG stakeholders, it has been encouraging to see you take solutions to the last mile and to come up with products that are affordable and suitable for rural consumers. The same applies to petroleum products distributors, who are ensuring that all our villages and rural people have petrol stations and able to fuel. My final ask to everyone present here today and to all Kenyans at large is that we keep our solutions safe, by growing confidence of their use, and we increase their uptake and make sure that no one is left behind. Safety will be maintained by collaborating with the ministry and the authority, energy officials and the county government, the law enforcement officers, and the communities at large. With those few remarks, it is now my pleasure and honor to welcome Mr. Alex Washira, the Principal Secretary for the State Department for Energy, to give his remarks. Thank you so much. Those are the remarks of the Principal Secretary, State Department for Petroleum. Renewable, PS.
Thank you, Commissioner, for those remarks. Our Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, Honorable James Opiyo Wandayi, EGH, Chairman of EPRA, Honorable Ali Haji Adan, my good friend and DG EPRA, Daniel Kipto Bargoria, CEO Nuclear Power Energy Agency, Justus Ambutsi Wabuyabu. I think I've picked from Norman to pronounce it right. Commissioner of Petroleum, industry players and representatives, distinguished guests, members of the Fourth Estate. Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Indeed, I want to express my gratitude to the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority for convening us today and for the unwavering commitment to shaping a resilient, innovative, and forward-looking energy sector. Allow me to briefly highlight how our collective efforts are transforming Kenya's energy sector and landscape, improving access to energy for all citizens. These efforts align closely with the findings presented in today's report, and I want to commend the team that put up that report. I went through it yesterday, and I want to confirm that that is a very meticulous and well-prepared report. Let us give them a round of applause. Indeed, if we are able to dissect that report widely and circulate it widely, it's a good report that will show Kenyans what we have been able to do as an energy sector, including how we have been able, and that did not come out DG, the issue of venting and curtail power. We have seen serious reduction in the levels of curtailed power decline. It is our hope that with the introduction of something like battery energy storage, the issue of curtail power will be a thing of the past, and that will also help us reduce our thermal generation, as well as ensure that we bring on board more variable renewable energy technology. So I want to ask you, I know Kenyans, we are poor readers, and especially in big books, but I want to ask you kindly, go through the report. It is well prepared. Thank you, Njoki Karaja and your team for that good job. Earlier, the energy sector is much more than infrastructure. It is the backbone of our economy, and to ensure that Kenya remains at the forefront of energy sector reforms, we continuously benchmark ourselves locally, regionally, and internationally, learning from the best practices and sharing knowledge with our partners. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier this year, Kenya hosted energy regulators from across Africa in Nairobi to discuss the importance of countries working together to improve access and affordability, particularly in rural and underserved areas. These benchmarking efforts have strengthened Kenya's regional power trade and improved the stability of electricity supply, notably the Kenya Power Tanzania Electricity Supply Company. Energy exchange agreement facilitating up to 30 megawatts was approved and operationalized this year. And I also want to commend the DG EPRA because you also approved that we can now pick more power from Uganda from 80 megawatts to 120 megawatts, ensuring that there is stability on that side of Kenya, the western side of Kenya, because you know very well that the western side of Kenya, we don't have adequate generation on that side, and so therefore Uganda comes in very well, but we also have several small hydros lined up by Kengen. There's one, I think, in Rivanzoia. I think it's called Navaholo, will give us about 30 megawatts. But most important is Nuclear Power Energy Agency. It is the one that is going to help us stabilize power in that area completely. And also not only that area, but ensure that we have industrialization coming in, because when we are able to bring on board more base load, you have been able to see that Diodamo is giving us 39% of our power, which is okay. But we still need to bring on board nuclear power for us to meet our energy demands, and most importantly, provide base load. Ladies and gentlemen, the State Department for Energy is committed to achieving a net zero energy future, guided by the Kenya Energy Transition Investment Plan 2025 to 2050. We are expanding access to cleaner fuels such as LPG, supporting mini grids and distributed energy solutions, and embedding energy efficiency throughout the energy sector. I am proud to note that the renewable energy accounted for more than 80, actually about 89% of Kenya's generation mix in the past 1 year. Specifically, Diodamo supplied 39.51%, supplemented by hydro, thanks to the good rains at 24.21%. The wind and solar provided 13.18% and 3.27% respectively. These achievements directly reduce our national carbon footprint and reinforce Kenya's global reputation as a leader in sustainable energy. At this point, Honorable Waziri, allow me to mention just 1, 2, 3 things, and because we are talking about wind and solar, and I saw some remarks last week by an honorable member of parliament saying that NSSF Kenya is putting money in PPP projects. I think for us in energy, we are the best people who are best placed to talk about PPP projects, and more so where pension funds should be able to be put in. You know very well that for us we have several IPPs, and if you look, for example, at one of the biggest, actually the biggest pension fund in the world and fund manager in the world, BlackRock, it is running a book of $12.52 trillion, and half of that is a pension fund, and that pension fund is invested in energy projects. Why? Because energy projects, you're able to have 25-year PPAs. Retirement benefits and pension funds are money that we call patient capital, and the best place of investing patient capital is in PPP projects, in power projects, in road projects. And so therefore, you know, when I'm sitting here, Waziri, for us who are stockbrokers and investment bankers, Sarova Stanley is a very important asset, because Nairobi Stock Exchange was established here in 1952. For the longest time, trading used to happen here. So for us, before 2023, those of us who are traders, as a matter of fact, we had to cross to Uganda, because Uganda NSSF used to run a bigger book, and it was one of the biggest holders of Kenya's treasury bonds and treasury bills. Why? Because our saving culture, by then, we were only saving 200 shillings, and your employer was having 200 shillings. So our NSSF had a smaller book than in SSF Uganda. And you know very well that Kenya's economy is much bigger. It's about double the economy of Uganda. Similarly, the book for NSSF Tanzania was at the gain twice, actually thrice the book of NSSF Kenya. Why? Because of the saving culture. And that is why even right now there is a huge building coming up in Nairobi attributed to NSSF Tanzania. So it is very good for Kenya's NSSF to grow the economy and to invest in infrastructure projects. In fact, I'm looking forward, DG Waziri, when we are putting up the High Grand Force Dam, that one of the investors should be NSSF Kenya, so that we can have a PPA that is in Kenya shilling denominated. We should not always rely on Swiss funds and the Nor funds and the BlackRocks, because when we rely on that, we will always have PPAs that are foreign currency denominated. And that is the essence of growing our NSSF, so that we can be able to increase our leverage and be able to have enough pool of funds that can be able to invest in our energy infrastructure, transport infrastructure. Those of you, nowadays we are enjoying the expressway. It is a PPP project. So if we can be able to have more, even in energy, that should be the way. So that member of parliament need to give Kenyans the true picture and how we should always invest our contributions in the right way, not always investing in bloaty maguta. You know, Kenyans, we are very used to investing in bloaty maguta, and you can see the exchange now. The price of Kenya power has moved from 1 shilling and 30 cents to 14 shillings. KCB has moved from 26 bob. I think yesterday it traded around 58 bob. So there is a lot of money that is being made in the exchange. So Waziri, I just had to make those remarks because we are in the area where investment used to happen. Electricity connectivity, ladies and gentlemen, continued on an upward trajectory where between July 2024 and June 2025, we were able to connect 390 new customers to the grid. This rise speaks to government's commitment to universal access. For communities in remote areas, the government through Kenya Power and Rural Electrification Renewable Energy Corporation has invested in off-grid stations to serve households and businesses beyond the reach of the national grid. Electricity usage in these off-grid distribution areas grew by 3.45%, highlighting that even in our most remote corners, electricity is transforming lives, powering enterprises, and enabling inclusive growth. We have also seen commendable growth in electric mobility and its resulting contribution to energy consumption. A major milestone we look forward to will be the proposed update of the e-mobility tariff, which seeks to remove the current consumption limit of 1,500,000 units per month. This adjustment will ease the challenges faced by electric mobility customers, particularly fleet operators and charging infrastructure providers who require higher consumption levels to operate efficiently. Ladies and gentlemen, for example, I've shared highlights that can be achieved when we work together across sectors and leverage public-private partnerships. My key message is simple: collaboration, access progress, strengthen innovation, and ensure that the benefits of energy access reach all Kenyans. With those few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and pleasure to welcome our Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Energy and Petroleum, Honorable James Opiyo Wandayi, our chief guest, to deliver his keynote remarks. Karibu sana Waziri. Let us give him a round of applause as he comes to the stage. Asante sana Waziri na karibu.
Asante. And thank you very much, Bwana PS. Distinguished guests, industry representatives present, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm greatly honored to witness this morning the release of the Energy and Petroleum Statistics Report for the year ended 30th June 2025. This report, you'll agree with me, tells the story of the progress we are making across the energy sector and the interventions we must deploy with greater urgency as government to support various economic activities across Kenya. I appreciate in a very big way the remarks that have been made so far. They summarize the progressive strides we have made in our energy sector as a country. As a ministry, we are excited by all these developments. They bring us closer to the promise of providing universal access to energy and petroleum. In a few weeks, we shall be celebrating Mashujaa Day, as the DG had earlier on indicated. And this year's theme is Energy Matters. We want to take advantage of the opportunity to educate and create awareness on various issues in the sector, especially the innovations that are creating inclusive access to energy and petroleum products and services. I welcome you to the celebrations in Kitui County and look forward to interacting over the deliberations on investments, public-private partnerships, and how we can contribute better or to better highlights in the next release of this report. So, ladies and gentlemen, the energy and petroleum sector continues to register interesting advancements. I'm sure you'll agree with me. To support universal access to LPG, for instance, the government is working with various stakeholders to expand both infrastructure and streamline policy interventions. When it comes to infrastructure, the commissioning of the lake gas facility in Vipingo, Kilifi County comes to mind. The facility has boosted storage capacity for LPG receiving terminals, improving supply security in the process. On the policy side, the government's planned implementation of an open tender importation system, the famous OTS, for LPG will enhance competitiveness, transparency, and efficiency in imports. In addition, there has been the gazettement of various regulations. For example, the operation of common user petroleum facilities regulations of 2025, which will have a transformative impact on the sector by providing fair and transparent access to shared petroleum infrastructure such as import terminals, storage depots, and pipelines. These changes are set to bring more growth while guided by the National LPG Growth Strategy. The one which was approved by the Cabinet sometime in 2023. And that strategy prioritizes the adoption of LPG in public learning institutions, the articulation of LPG in households, and cylinder distribution to low-income households. The government's zero rating of LPG will continue to stimulate demand, particularly among households transitioning from traditional biomass fuels. So, ladies and gentlemen, the report that has been unveiled this morning shows that Kenya generated some 14,472 gigawatt hours of electricity in 2024-2025, marking a 5.76% increase from the previous financial year. Peak demand rose to a record 2,316 megawatts. That is an increase of 6.4% from the year before, indicating increased demand for electricity. In this regard, I would like to encourage manufacturers and industries represented here to take advantage of initiatives put in place so far to ensure that we have responsible use of electricity, especially from the national grid. This means adopting the energy management regulations gazetted in February this year to promote energy efficiency among facilities with an energy consumption threshold of at least 180,000 kilowatt hours. These regulations, if adhered to, will contribute to savings in energy bills and more reliable power in the country by minimizing wastage. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I am optimistic. Indeed, I remain optimistic about where we are heading. Kenya's leadership in renewable energy continues to shine, with the planned expansion of geothermal capacity beyond 1,000 megawatts in the coming year, driven by the commissioning of 2 power plants in Menengai, Nakuru County. This growth underscores our position as a global leader in geothermal development, while securing clean, reliable power for our citizens and industries. At the regional level, electricity imports from Uganda will rise, as has been indicated by the PS, following the revision of the Energy Exchange Agreement with UETCL from 80 megawatts to 120 megawatts, improving supply stability. Even more transformative is the commencement of wheeling power between Ethiopia and Tanzania through Kenya's grid in the financial year 2025-2026, a milestone in operationalizing the Eastern Africa Power Pool. This enhances regional energy security and firmly establishes Kenya as a strategic energy transit hub in the region. As I conclude, finally, I call upon you to ponder on the insights that have been shared here and what they mean to each of you. Thank you to EPRA for putting together this report and this event. Asanteni sana, Mwenyezi Mungu azidi kuwabariki.
A hearty clap to Wana CS. Thank you very much. From megawatts to market dynamics. So we'd want to, as we come to the tail end of this event, I would want some help. Where is Brian? Yes, Brian, come. I'd want to call this high table here, led by the CS, PS, we want, as we come to the tail end of the event, I would want to take this opportunity to invite the CS, the PS, the gentlemen really on this table to please come on stage. We want to now do the official unveiling of the report. And of course, the only lady, Madame Joki, she thought she'd escape this. She thought she'd escape this. So we just want to do the unveil, and then of course we proceed to the vote of thanks.
Hey, kitu ni mzito bana. So heavy. Si hakuna kuli tena huko juu.
Yeah, photographers, you're ready. So on the count 3, 2, 1, you can showcase the report to mark the official unveil of the 7th Energy and Petroleum Statistics Report. Give them a hearty clap. Thank you so much. And you can also smile. You can also smile while at it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Next time we should ensure that the gender issue is addressed. But thank you very much. Asante sana. As they take their seats, I want now to take this opportunity to invite Bwana Cyprian Nyakundi, the Director of Public Education, Advocacy and Consumer Protection, for the vote of thanks. And by the way, make no mistake, this is a different Cyprian Nyakundi. I will not say any further than that, lest I find myself in Tandao. Bwana Cyprian.
tutalitumia tu hivi sawa. Shika hapo.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. Good morning. It is a great privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on this important occasion, marking the launch of the EPRA Statistics Report, a key publication that supports transparency, informed decision-making, and sectorial growth. To begin, we express our heartfelt gratitude to the Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, for your presence and continued support. Your leadership and policy direction have been instrumental in shaping a strong data-driven energy and petroleum sector. We also extend our sincere thanks to the Principal Secretaries, the two Principal Secretaries, PS Energy and PS Petroleum, and the entire Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. We thank you for your oversight, guidance, and close collaboration with EPRA. A special and sincere thank you also goes to our chairperson, EPRA board, and also our board directors. Your governance the authority remains focused, effective, and accountable. Your encouragement of evidence-based regulation continues to strengthen our institutional capacity and delivery. To our Director General, thank you for your visionary leadership, your support to the team, and your commitment to ensuring that this report remains the highest standards of accuracy and relevance. To the EPRA management and the Statistics Committee, we recognize and deeply appreciate your dedication, coordination, and tireless work in producing this report. The integrity, the rigor, professionalism that went into this development are truly commendable. To all EPRA staff involved directly or indirectly, we thank you for your commitment, whether in data gathering, analysis, review, administration, or logistics. Every contribution has been very valuable. We also thank our industry stakeholders and data providers for their cooperation. This report would not be possible without your transparency and willingness to collaborate. Our sincere appreciation also goes to the media, whose partnership ensures that this data reaches the public domain accurately and in good time. Thank you for helping us to tell the story behind the numbers. To our distinguished guests, thank you for joining us today. Your presence affirms the importance of this work and shared interest in using data to drive sustainable development in the energy and petroleum sector. In closing, the launch of this report is not just a milestone of EPRA, but a testament to what we can achieve through collaboration, commitment, and a shared vision. Let us continue to build on this momentum as we work towards a more transparent, efficient, and data-informed sector. Thank you all, and congratulations once again to everyone involved in the successful development of the EPRA Statistics Report. Thank you, and I won't finish without acknowledging, of course, the appreciation of, we do it the Nyayo way. I think for those of you, all of us, I can see we don't have Gen Zs here. Let us do it the Nyayo way, and please let's warm our hands. Let's warm our hands. Moja, Billy, Funga, Fungua. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. You can scan the QR code and download the report. For those in the media, you can, and you want to really ask some question or seek clarification, again, the opportunity is there. Otherwise, thank you so much and have a good day.
Oh, amekata. Hapana, wacha tuchukue mic tuulize. Tuone. So, umeng'oa nini ile kisiki? Oh,
Ushachukua mic.
ndio hii. Acha tung'oe hii kwanza.
Wapi?
Ndio tunaendea.
Anafanya wapi?
Hapa tu.
Cynthia.
Press briefing.
Yes. That's okay. Okay, yeah. So you just move this. We just. Yes. Are they in frame? Bado? Or slightly behind the or slightly behind the kidogo tu. Breaker will let us land hivyo. We okay? So mimi ndo niendelee. Yes, let me just maybe just
Okay. Okay. Mko tayari? Huh? Okay. Okay. Good morning. My name's Daniel Kipto Bargoria. I'm joined by my colleagues in management, from the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. We are here this morning to launch our annual Energy and Petroleum Statistics Report. These are reports for the year ending 30th of June 2025. The report is a culmination of all the information and statistics that we've gathered with respect to the energy and petroleum sectors of our economy over the last financial year. It speaks to the key matrices and indices with respect to power tariffs, licensing, peak demand, installed capacity, the PPAs that we've been able to approve and the network service contracts that we've been able to approve as an authority. It also speaks in petroleum to the work that is happening in upstream petroleum, the exploration that is going on in the South Lokicha Basin in Turkana. It speaks to the importation of petroleum products into the country, the global trends, the local trends, LPG as well, the increase in demand in the country. We have seen an increase in demand for both electricity and petroleum products. We've also seen an uptick in e-mobility. We've also seen innovation coming into the sector when it comes to application of e-mobility and the time of use tariff. We've also been able to see a reduction in the power that has been curtailed. The report is a very informative report, which is a testament of the growth that is the Kenyan economy, which is largely driven by the energy sector. We are happy to be able to disseminate this report to our stakeholders and to the public at large, and not leaving out the fourth estate, who have the mandate to be able then to educate the consumers on the energy and petroleum sectors. A lot of the questions that have been raised over the last financial year by the public, a lot of them have been addressed in this report. The report has been able to answer some of the queries that Kenyans have had, and I want to urge the members of the public to be able to download the report, to be able to read the report, and to be able to educate themselves.
Maybe, you can just have two questions for myself. The energy statistics report reflects both opportunity and the gaps in the sector. What do you see the most urgent regulatory intervention needed in the next year? The last one, with the rise of electricity or electric mobility in Kenya, how is EPRA preparing the regulatory framework to accommodate EV charging infrastructure? We've seen a challenge of the riders who are using the electric e-mobility, both the buses and the two-wheel drive.
Yeah, I think in terms of looking at the statistics report and where are the challenges and where are the opportunities, I think the biggest positive is the growth, because I think this is the 7th edition of the Energy and Petroleum Statistics Report, and it really clearly demonstrates that there is growth in the economy, there is growth in consumption, there is growth in demand of both electricity and petroleum products. That opportunity also presents a challenge. From where we sit as the regulator, when it comes to security of supply, which is our key mandate, we see acceleration of investment in energy and petroleum sectors to be the key driver that is going to continue to fuel this growth spurt or this demand. We need to be able to invest particularly in new generation projects. We need to invest in upgrading our transmission infrastructure. We also need to invest in storage both of white petroleum products because of the increased demand not only in Kenya and the region, but also increased investment in LPG infrastructure to be able to benefit from the incentives that the government has put in place through the LPG growth strategy. As a regulator, in the year that has passed, ended 30th June 2025, we've been able to review all 9 downstream regulations. Those regulations have been assented to by the Cabinet Secretary, and they now have the force of law. These regulations, just to give an example, for instance, the common user regulation that will allow for private sector facilities to apply to the regulator as common users, facilities that will be utilized by all market players for the benefit of the economy. We've also been able to amend the petroleum import regulation that has brought on board LPG, fuel oil and bitumen into the open tender system framework. We are also now currently as the regulator in readiness for Kenya becoming an oil exporting country, have just concluded undertaking public participation for 7 upstream petroleum regulations in readiness for the commercialization of our oil discoveries in the South Lokicha Basin. So we as a regulator are already positioning ourselves to ensure that we have an enabling regulatory framework that will allow us then to facilitate the sector to continue with its growth path. When it comes to e-mobility, as a regulator, in our last tariff review and this current tariff control period, we did have an e-mobility tariff of 16 shillings at peak and 8 shillings off peak. The 8 shillings off peak, as you've seen the report, is what has helped us to reduce some of the power that is curtailed. When you do look at this report, you will see that we have peak between 6 p.m. and about 10 p.m. And about 10 p.m., we then see our demand dropping from the 2,300 megawatts to peak to about 1,500 megawatts during weekdays and down to about 1,000 megawatts, 900 megawatts during weekends. This has led us to curtail some of our geothermal plants in the night, but e-mobility has come and has allowed us then to uptake this capacity during off-peak at that preferential rate of 8 shillings per kilowatt hour. This is what you have seen has driven the increase in electric two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and also the matatu sector that you've seen a lot of investment in e-mobility. Electric buses that you're seeing in the market today has been spurred by that tariff that was approved by the regulator. We've also introduced e-mobility guidelines to guide the investment in the sector, but we do want to admit also, even through the implementation of e-mobility, we've seen the thresholds that we had set already being surpassed by the e-mobility actors. We now are seeing some interventions that are required by us as the regulator, particularly in economic regulation. You speak to the issue of swapping of batteries for electric two- and three-wheelers. We as a regulator are now looking and working with stakeholders to see how we can be able to regulate the cost of a battery swap so that then we ensure that the consumer that is operating an electric two- and three-wheeler is not unduly exploited when it comes to how much they're paying for a battery swap, recognizing the regulator has already provided for 16 shillings at peak for charging and 8 shillings off peak for charging. That should be reflective after getting a reasonable return as an e-mobility provider, should be reflective in what we are paying for battery swapping. So those are the kind of interventions that we're making in e-mobility. From 80 megawatts to 130 megawatts.
I understand it's only been a for exchange, but does it mean that it's been changed to a PPA?
No, and we are yet to move away from an energy exchange agreement to a firm capacity PPA, but these are conversations that are currently ongoing. Ketraco has been constructing a line from Olkaria to Lesos and then from Lesos to Tororo. When that line is complete, then I believe Ketraco, being the transmission utility, and KPLC will be able to engage with UTCL on their Uganda side and be able to negotiate a firm PPA, which they'll be able then to bring to us as a regulator for approval. I think it's important to note, as has been said by the PS and also by the Minister, is that we don't have sufficient generation capacity in the western part of the country, but our neighbors in Uganda have had a commissioning of two power plants, hydro power plants, Karuma and Lisimba, which has a cumulative capacity of about 900 megawatts of hydro, which we are looking to benefit and to tap into. And this speaks to the benefit of the East African power pool, where we're looking to leverage on our different strengths. Kenya looking to leverage on geothermal, Ethiopia leveraging on its hydro, Uganda you can see leveraging on its hydro, Tanzania is developing Julius Nyerere Dam as well, Kenya is looking to develop High Grand Falls Dam. So when you talk to the East African power pool, and particularly the opportunity for us to be able to trade power amongst the East African countries and the wider 16-country East African power pool, eventually we'll be able to move to bilateral agreements that will give us firm capacity, but eventually also launch what is called the day-ahead market for the East African power pool that will allow us to trade power on a daily basis. Yes. No, the deal was signed between Tanzania Utility and EEP in Ethiopia. Ketraco has been providing that service, what's called wheeling. We as a regulator did approve the agreement between Ketraco to wheel the power from Ethiopia to Tanzania. So the agreement is approved, was signed between Ketraco and TANESCO, which is the Tanzanian utility, and EEP, where EEP, the Ethiopian Electric Power Company, will be selling power directly to TANESCO, which is the Tanzanian utility, with Ketraco providing their network to be able to move the power. So 100 megawatts is flowing currently from Ethiopia into Tanzania through Kenya. Yeah.
Dam is online, is there a likely review in terms of that going forward? And then
the power moratorium sort of draft the power generation? Well, when it comes to the PPA signed between Ethiopia and Kenya, I recall it was signed, if I'm not wrong, around the 1st or the 2nd of August 2022, and it had a staggered implementation, which was 200 megawatts to the end of this year, and then the additional 100 megawatts would then kick in. So the PPA is already negotiated. It was just staggered when it comes to implementation. We're already receiving the power from Ethiopia, and we require more power from Ethiopia. KPLC has been engaging with Ethiopia in terms of trying to bring forward the next tranche of 100 megawatts that will be coming in from Ethiopia. You'd recognize that even though the official commissioning of the dam happened just recently during the Africa Climate Summit, the dam has been operational over the last couple of years and will be indeed receiving power as a country. With respect to the moratorium, the answer from us as a regulator is yes. One of our mandates is to ensure the security of supply. When it comes to the average gestation period for a power generation project during the development phase, on average it takes 7 to 8 years to develop a power project in Kenya. And of course the moratorium that was put in place sometime back in 2020 has had an impact. We have been engaging with our policymakers and also with our parliament to be able to demonstrate what you can see in the Energy and Petroleum Statistics report today, that demand is increasing on a year-on-year. We have our installed capacity, we have what is actually available capacity, and we have a very thin reserve margin. So it is really behooves us as a country to be able to move with speed. And I know the ministry and the utility have been engaging to be able to accelerate the onboarding of new projects so that they can ensure that we don't have a scenario where we end up to load shed as a country. Well, we have a different mix of projects. The rule of thumb has been to have only about 30% of your projects to be the intermittents, which is the wind and the solars. But as the PS had said, with the introduction of battery storage and the reduction of the cost of battery storage and these renewable energy technologies, there's opportunities to hybridize the wind together with the solar and battery storage to make them more reliable and to take away the intermittency. This moratorium affected all generation projects. We've also seen a reduction in investment when it comes to development of what would be our base load, which is our geothermal, which require a lot of capital to be able to invest into geothermal, and which takes a longer time to deploy than wind and solar. That is where we need to put our focus on more base load, and also the introduction of battery storage to be able to stabilize our grid. Good.